Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero podcast, the show where I cover the least in the best way possible. I'm your host, Jason Wells. Today is Wednesday, June 18th. Say it every time now. We're getting closer. But a little just note from me off the top. Yes, I am still posting. No, I haven't been posting the intros like I do every week and being like, a new episode is out. Because I've been lazy. It's summer and work is busy and I'm tired and it's been really unfortunate, but my softball has literally fallen at 6 o'clock, like basically every single Tuesday so far. Thankfully, tonight's game is at 8:30, but I say thankfully because that means I get back at like 11:30, which sucks, but it's been busy. Hasn't been busy in the NFL. We're still kind of in this weird, I'm shocked that some of these vets haven't been signed yet. I think they're probably waiting for all of these mandatory OTAs and mini camps to be done with, and then they're like, okay, like let's get in there. This episode, though, we will be continuing the Hall of Very Good. Who went in last week? What positions was I doing last week? I was doing special teamers and linebackers, so shout out to Sebastian Janikowski, Thomas Davis, and Donta Hightower for all getting in to the 2025 class of Hall of Very Good. This episode, though, we're going edge and D lineman, wrapping up the defenders here. And as always, NFL Weekly Update, decent amount to cover, nothing of note, just a few fun stories, some not fun stories, but let's just get into it here. Going to be another good one. So, starting off with not a fun story, Antonio Brown is wanted for attempted murder. Not a shocking thing if you've followed the last bit of Antonio Brown's life, career, whatever. It's been a steep descent into madness ever since that Vontaze Burfict game, but yeah, Antonio Brown wanted for attempted murder. So he posted a couple weeks ago on his Twitter of, these dudes tried to jump him, tried to grab his chain, blah, blah, blah. Which I think is fair. They did, but there was videos that came out of, these guys, they tried to jump him, they tried to fight him, whatever, and then all of a sudden they run away and AB chases them. But what does AB also do? He goes up to a security guard, grabs his gun, and then tries to shoot them. That's not defending yourself. The fight, the escalation, it was over at that point. Those guys were running away. You just can't fire into an open crowd. Apparently it grazed the guy's neck. Let the legal process play out, I guess. But yeah, this might be... I don't think we're going to be hearing from Antonio Brown for a while anyways, because again, you can't go shooting around, shooting people, like, especially if it's not really in the act of defending yourself. Either way, crazy story to lead off with, not completely unsurprising just because of the way Antonio Brown's life has went since he's retired, and I mean even just while he was playing still, you could see that it was not going to end well. So yeah, that's Antonio Brown. Next note up here, what did I have up? Former Bengals linebacker Jermaine Pratt signs a 1-year deal with the Raiders. This is, again, it's a great move by the Raiders because going into this year, it was... who was starting for them? And I will look it up because I know it was Devin White, but like they had Devin White and who was their other linebacker there? I think they signed Jalen Smith, which is just fun. It was going to be Devin White and a Landon Roberts. That's terrible. Now it's Jermaine Pratt and a Landon Roberts. That's feasible anyways, especially with the way that the rest of that defense looks anyways. I'm optimistic on how that Raiders, especially their front four with Crosby and Wilkins and yada, yada, yada. The Raiders desperately needed a linebacker. Jermaine Pratt gets the change of scenery that he wants. I'm sure he'll play lights out this year because he's in a contract year and he wants that big payday. I guess we'll see. But yeah, Raiders not starting Devin White anymore, so that's an absolute win. Other signing here, J.K. Dobbins signs a 1 year, $5.25 million deal with I think like 9.12 of that guaranteed. That makes no sense. Never mind. That's the other contract. I don't know how much. Dobbins probably didn't get anything guaranteed. Either way. Yeah, 1 year, $5 million, 5.25, whatever. $1 million deal for J.K. Dobbins goes to the Broncos, and now that backfield looks like it's J.K. Dobbins. It looks like it's rookie R.J. Harvey. That's about it. And now when I'm looking at the Broncos offense, no, does it excite me? Like, it's okay. I don't think they've really improved on it from last year. Like, yes, they brought in Evan Ingram. Yes, they brought in J.K. Dobbins, I guess, and they drafted like Pat Bryant and R.J. Harvey. It still looks like a bunch of question marks to me, other than that offensive line should be rock solid. Do I think they're going to be as good as they were last year? No, because last year they were like incredibly good as a unit. Still going to be good, but yeah, it's a decent duo. We obviously don't know what RJ Harvey is going to be. Sean Payton clearly loves him, and that's just a good indication for fantasy and at least touch wise that RJ Harvey like will get his fair share of the touches. But they definitely needed someone else, not named Audric Estime or Jaleel McLaughlin. I don't even know if he's still there, actually. But, like, bringing in Dobbins, having it be Dobbins-Harvey, that's a running back duo. That's solid. It's good. He was very good last year, and now he's playing behind a much better offensive line. I'm interested to see, again, what that offense looks like in general. I don't have a lot of high hopes for it, but it's interesting anyways. Another not fun story here. Jimmy Ward gets a felony assault family violence charge. And I don't know what the difference between that and domestic violence is. Either way, it's not good and something that you shouldn't do. But yeah, I don't know how this will get resolved, but Ward has been the Texans starting safety. I think he started 20 games over the last 2 years. Good player, obviously. Him being good at football doesn't make him a not shitty person. But yeah, I think that the Texans have... Yeah, no, they literally traded for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, so they'll have... Oh, yeah, they're more than fine now that I'm thinking of, because it's like, oh no, they're like missing like, one of their starters in Jimmy Ward, but they drafted Caden Bullock last year, who was pretty damn good. They traded for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and they still have Jalen Petrie. I wouldn't be shocked. Again, I don't know what the details or anything of this. I wouldn't be shocked if they cut Jimmy Ward at some point. Like, if it is bad and it's not just like, okay, we'll give him a 2-game suspension because the NFL is crazy like that. Yeah, Texans are going to be fine. I don't think this hurts their defense whatsoever. I'm excited to talk about their defense when we do get to that part of the offseason here. A couple other low-key signings. The Rams signed DJ Humphries. Humphries was supposed to be the savior to come in and be like, they can kick Joe Thuney back into guard. Humphries can play left tackle, and then didn't really work out. Obviously, he was working his way back from injury, and we don't know how hurt he still was when he signed with the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs do. We don't. And he was supposed to sign with the Niners, and then that just kind of fell through, but now he stays in that division anyways, and I think he's just always been, I mean, other than the Chiefs last year, of course, but he got drafted by the Cardinals, and he's been a pretty good player. This is just a depth signing for the Rams. Again, it's good to have these older vets who have been around the block, who hopefully don't have to play. But if you need him in a pinch, I still trust DJ Humphries at this point. I'm just going to assume that last year he was still battling back from whatever injury it was. We'll see though. But again, a good depth signing for the Rams. Steelers safety Deshaun Elliott signs a 2-year, $12.5 million deal, 9.21 of that guaranteed. That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, Deshaun Elliott. After having a 1-year deal with the Dolphins, he signed with the Steelers last year, and he played great. Like, he was one of the better safeties in the league. Again, a little bit unexpectedly, but that Steelers defense is just great. The system is so great. They have, again, good players on all levels to make it just easier. Helps having your running mate be Minka Fitzpatrick as well. But yeah, decent little payday for Deshaun. Definitely deserves it. Still not a fan of the comments that he made about Miami, but honestly, they're kind of valid, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, good for Deshaun Elliott. And then a couple more fun stories to end the NFL Weekly Update here. Tyreek Hill runs his 100-meter dash, and he won that race. Again, don't know who he was racing against, don't know what the actual competitive level was, but I do know that he ran a 10.15. That's very, very fast. I think when DK Metcalf did his 100-meter dash a couple years ago, I think that he was in the, like, I can look it up. I want to say 10.6s, but that seems like too high. DK Metcalf, 100-meter time. Okay, 10.36. So Tyreek was a full, like, almost, yeah, 2/10 faster than DK Metcalf. And when you're like, oh, 2/10, that's not that much. But, like, in a race, that's a lot. And Tyreek, after, yeah, holds up the sign being like, oh, Noah could never, obviously referencing Noah Lyles, who him and Tyreek have had a back and forth. And they were supposed to race in Times Square in New York coming up here. Noah Lyles pulled out, backed out, and honestly, like, I don't know what's going on in his life. I have no idea why or what the reasons are, but I'm just going to say that he got scared. Because, yeah, do I think that Noah Lyles could easily beat Tyreek Hill in a foot race? Like, of course. Like, Tyreek, he holds up the sign, Noah could never. Like, Noah can consistently run under, like, a 10.15. Like, he would need to have a very bad race to not have that time, and it would be easy. But I do think he was a little concerned that, oh, Tyreek's, like, fast. Like, I think that, like, a 10.15 would have been good for, like, good enough to, like, qualify for the Olympics. And he's not training for track. He's still training for football. He still has, like, he's still built up. He still has his muscle on. But it does make me curious about if Tyreek Hill took, like, track and field seriously in his prime. I think he could crack a sub 10, which cracking a sub 10 in 100 meters is absolutely nuts. I think he could probably do it, though. A 10.15 is still an incredible time. Shout out to Tyreek. I knew he was, like, obviously really, really fast, but he is legit track speed fast. Which, again, I think a lot of people probably figured anyways, but it's nice to actually see that and know for sure that, oh yeah, no, he has legit track speed. Probably could have competed at the Olympics for some event. I don't know, but I'm just going to keep saying that. And final note up here, not an NFL, no, kind of more college football than anything, but former Miami Hurricanes tight end and former Oregon Ducks tight end Cam McCormick has been hired by the Patriots as a scouting assistant. You might be thinking, why is this news? Why are we talking about that? That is because Cam McCormick finally has a job after playing 9 years in the NCAA. You heard that right. 9 years as a college football player. And that's what's crazy. And it's obvious. You might be thinking, it's like, hey, how does that happen? He had multiple, like, season-ending injuries, so it just extends his eligibility. There was obviously the COVID season, and that gave most players an extra year of eligibility. So, yeah, he started college in 2016, and he left in 2025. Absolutely crazy, kind of living the dream. He obviously would have been nice for him if NIL existed when he first started and he could have cashed in for 9 years. And the fact that he immediately got a job in an NFL front office in the scouting department, like, that's awesome for him. Just a funny story. 9 years as a college tight end. He obviously knows the college system and the programs and what to look for very, very well. And it's funny. It's like, you might be thinking, it's like, 9 years. Like, his stats, like, must be, like, pretty high up. Nope. He had 273 yards in his 9-year career. Crazy. But What does make me feel bad is, yeah, he was in college for 9 years. He's still younger than me. He's a year younger than me, but he's still younger than me. Hurts a little bit. I have one more note. I'm going to save it for the very end because it's more of a rant more than anything. But let's get into the Hall of Very Good here. So we got edge, we got defensive linemen, we got some big boys that we need to talk about here. But we will start off with the edge players. So we got Justin Smith, Justin Tuck, Mario Williams, Tamba Hali, UC Umanora, John Abraham, and Simeon Rice. And we'll start back up the top. We'll start off with Justin Smith, a two-time nominee. Was the 4th overall pick by the Bengals in 2001. Was a first-team All-Pro once, 4-time second-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. Ended his 14-year career with 87 career sacks, good for 98th all-time. Also, I don't know what was happening when I was looking up like the all-time sacks list, because I think that there's technically 2 different lists. There's the unofficial one and the official one, and you might be being like, well, why would you use the unofficial one? And it's because obviously sacks weren't a stat forever. Like, I think that they started being tracked in the like late 70s. So there's a guy named Jack Youngblood who again played for I think the Rams again in the 70s, like that era, who didn't get a bunch of sacks like accredited to him, but on one of the lists he has 151, which is obviously like one of the higher ups. I think that's probably top 10 all time. I have no idea, but that just sounds right. But like officially he hasn't cracked 100 because of just the way that the stats and the tracking worked, but obviously Pro Football Reference went back to actually fully track. So, because I was going through this and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then I checked again and it's like, oh, everyone was like 30 spots lower than where I actually had them slotted. But yeah, so Justin Smith, 87 career sacks, good for 98th all time. Justin Smith was one of these guys who, again, starts his career with the Bengals. They don't want to pay him. And that seems just the way of the Bengals, where they draft good talent, and then it's like, I don't want to pay you that much. And it's like, hey, peace out, see ya. And he goes to the Niners, where he really develops into the star player he was. He got all of his All-Pros with the Niners. He got all of his Pro Bowls with the Niners. And yeah, he was one of the most consistent players on that defense for such a long time. And when we talk about especially like those early 10s Niners defenses, where he would have been like the old grizzled vet at that point, but like him, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, Alden Smith, like those were very good defenses. He could obviously set the edge, play inside, was a good run defender, could kick inside on passing rundowns, doesn't matter. He could play inside if he wanted, but he was an edge player. Very good player. We'll see. We'll see if he gets in this year. Another guy, Justin Tuck, 2-time nominee, a 2005 third-round pick by the Giants. 11-year career, mostly with the Giants, ended with the Raiders. 2-time Super Bowl champ, 1-time second-team All-Pro, 1-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler. And something that like I was kind of surprised by, that when I was looking up, only 66 and a half career sacks, which is good for 185th all time, which like that's not that high up. But like I think when we talk about like those those Giants defense back in their Super Bowl runs, when again it was Justin Tuck, it was UC Umanor, it was JPP. I always remembered that like, oh, Justin Tuck might not have had like the higher ceilings than like both of those guys, but he was the most consistent. And looking at those career numbers, apparently wrong. Not going to knock him because he still had an incredible career. Again, 2-time Super Bowl champ, a couple All-Pros, couple Pro Bowls. He did have a great career, and those Giants defenses were scary because of him and also some other guys. But again, Justin Tuck was a big part of those championship Giants teams. Those defenses were incredible. Again, yeah, Tuck, Umanora, JPP, Chris Canty, like that was a very, very good defensive line group. And we'll talk about, actually, let's just talk about UC Umanura here. A 2003 second-round pick by the Giants, 12-year career, all of them with the Giants. two-time Super Bowl champ, one-time first-team All-Pro, one-time second-team All-Pro, two-time Pro Bowler, the forced fumble leader in 2010 with 10, and that's an NFL, tied for an NFL record in a season. That's just a lot of fun. 85 career sacks. Cause that's the thing. Like, I thought that UC Umenyiora, like, he kicked inside a lot, like, especially when it was, like, tucking JPP off the edge, but he still had 85 career sacks, which is 19 more than Justin Tuck, which is crazy. That's 102nd all time. He had 5 defensive TDs. That's just like, I feel like, again, defensive linemen especially don't get defensive TDs. I looked it up to be like, oh, who has the most? Jason Taylor has the most for any defensive lineman with 9. Umenyiora checks in at 5, but still 5 defensive touchdowns as like a defensive lineman. That's great. Again, another instrumental piece of those 2 Giants Super Bowl runs. Hell of a player. One of only 5 British players to win a Super Bowl. Yes, man was born in London. Didn't start playing American football until he was 14. And obviously, whatever coach, whatever high school he went to, he was like, holy shit, I lucked into a gem, a beast of an athlete. And yeah, he developed into an incredible player. Again, Hall of Very Good type career. Great player. We'll keep going here. Another 2-time nominee, Mario Williams, the first overall pick by the Texans in the 2006 draft. I went back to look of like, oh, who else was in that draft? And now that I'm saying it out loud, I actually can't remember who was in that draft. So give me 2 seconds. Nope, not supplemental. Not like again. Reggie Bush, Vince Young, DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I should add DeBrickashaw to the ballot next year. AJ Hawk, Vernon Davis, Donta Whitner, Jay Cutler, Haloti Ngata. Again, good draft, but like not like a key. And Mario Williams was that guy, and again, had a hell of a career. 11-year career, spent I think half of it with the Texans, half of it with the Bills. His last year was in Miami. 2-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, 97.5 career sacks, good for 71st all-time. And it is too bad. Like, he was absolutely, like, tearing it up with the Bills back in, like, the early 2010s there. And all of a sudden, Rex Ryan gets hired as their new head coach, and Mario Williams did not like his defensive system, did not like that he got asked to drop into pass coverage a bunch, and he just gave up. He just stopped trying. He's like, I'm done. I think he dropped from like 13 sacks the year before to like 5. Bills ended up cutting him. He signs with Miami, and I think just that was kind of it. He couldn't get that fire, get that passion back, but he was a scary, scary player. Not just because of like what he did on the field, but he wore... I'm pretty sure those were like contacts that he wore because his eyes were freaky. Oh yeah. Oh no, he literally wore. I was picturing some of the difference. He literally wore like red contacts. So like I have blue eyes, where the blue of my eyes, it was just red. It was like a piercing red, and yeah, that's scary. I wouldn't want to be going against a guy who had literal red eyes. Obviously, it's contacts, but still. They get in your head. It's scary. But the one fun fact I did find out about Mario Williams is apparently he developed a cereal called Mario's. Clever. Yeah, and like all of the proceeds of that cereal went towards charity and blah, 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 blah. What I like about Buffalo, though, and I don't know if this is like a thing that I really need to tell, but I went to Buffalo. When would that have been? It was for New Year's, and it's like, you went to Buffalo for New Year's? No, I didn't go to Buffalo for New Year's. I went to Niagara Falls, Canada for New Year's. That's not any better. Especially in the middle of winter, because it's just abandoned. But regardless, though, so we went to a Bills game against the Dolphins, and we were there like during the week, because on the weekend, the Cheerios plant, I forget the actual, like, who makes Cheerios, but the Cheerios plant in Buffalo closed on the weekends, but we were walking around and it was a weekday, and all of a sudden it was like, why does the air just smell like Cheerios? Like during the week, Buffalo just smells like Cheerios, and that is a great smell. I love the smell of Cheerios. So the fact that during the week the Buffalo residents get to just enjoy the smell of Cheerios constantly, I think it would make me hungry. I think I would just eat more Cheerios probably. But one cool thing about Buffalo, probably multiple cool things, but I think the fact that wait, no, so that wouldn't have been New Year's because we weren't actually staying. No, that was just we went to a Bills game. Well, I just butchered that story. We went to a Bills game. I don't know who they were playing then. That was for Keegan's birthday. Oh, that was when they played Washington and they played Dwayne Haskins, R.I.P. I can just keep going though because I got derailed there. Next nominee up here, Tamba Hali, another two-time nominee, was the 20th overall pick by the Chiefs in the 2006 draft. 12-year career, all with the Chiefs. Two-time second-team All-Pro, six-time Pro Bowler, and he had a very interesting upbringing and start. So he was born in Liberia, which is in Africa, and he made his way to the States when he was 10 to escape from a civil war that was there. And it's not like, oh, him and his family fled. No, he got out. Like he was able to, again, I don't know the details of everything, but he was able to get out, go to the States, and his dream was he wanted to bring his mother back, to the States with him, and he found football, and he's like, football is going to be my way to do this. So again, 2006, that draft comes, he gets drafted, he's excited, he's happy, and then he misses the first 2 days of Chiefs training camp. He becomes a U.S. citizen officially, and then immediately flies his mom over, and then the rest is history. But a great story in general. Again, going from a war-torn country, you make your way to the States, you don't even know what American football is, you start to pick it up, and all of a sudden people are like, damn, that kid's really fucking good. Go to college, be a first-round pick, have a 12-year career with the Chiefs. Unfortunately, the Chiefs at that time weren't that great, but Tamba Hali definitely made them more fun than they should have been. He finished his career with 89.5 career sacks, good for 93rd all-time. Yeah, Tamba Hali was just a very, very good player on, unfortunately, some not fun Chiefs teams, because this would have also been pre-Alex Smith Chiefs teams, because I don't think Alex Smith got there till 2012. I think that sounds right. But either way, great career for Tamba Hali. Next guy up here, first-time nominee is John Abraham, the 13th overall pick by the Jets in 2000. 15-year career, two-time first-team All-Pro, five-time Pro Bowler, co-fumbles leader in 2001. I didn't look up to see what that number was. But he has 133.5 career sacks all-time. That's good for 18th all-time. I don't think John Abraham really gets the credit he deserves because, one, he played for the Jets in the early 2000s, and those teams were terrible. And then he makes his way over to the Falcons in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and those teams were also terrible. It took a while for Matt Ryan to really get into gear and with Julio and stuff. He would have had a few years where those offenses were looking pretty good, but those would have been towards the end of his career. 133.5 sacks should get you more note, and it is unfortunate that he just played on really, really bad teams, because if he would have played on a couple playoff teams, we'd probably be talking about him as a Hall of Famer. Again, only a five-time Pro Bowler, but you think with the notoriety of playing on a good team, it would have elevated his status just a little bit, but that's John Abraham. Very, very, very consistent player. Obviously, he had 133.5 sacks in 15 years. That's absolutely wild. And last nominee up here for the Edge, it is Simeon Rice, another first-time nominee. Was the third overall pick by the Cardinals in the 1996 draft. Didn't really matter, though. He played out his rookie deal, didn't re-sign with the Cardinals, signs with the Bucks, and that's really where he made his claim to fame. Won the Super Bowl with that John Gruden Bucks team. Was a made the first team All-Pro once, made the second team All-Pro twice, three-time Pro Bowler, was the 1996 Rookie of the Year, the co-forced fumbles leader in 2003. He has 122 career sacks, good for 30th all time. 12-year career, and yeah, he just went on an absolute tear with the Bucks, where I think he had, what did they say? I think he had 8 straight years of 10 plus sacks, which again, that's great. And then unfortunately I think it was the 2006 season, he hurts his shoulder, bad injury, but then tried to play through it in 2007. And then that was just it. He couldn't play anymore, didn't play at all in 2008. And then in 2009, he tried to make a return, but to the UFL to play for the New York Sentinels. One of these guys who I've appreciated like later, because again, I wasn't really paying attention to football when Simeon Rice was in the prime of his career, but I want a Simeon Rice jersey. I want a Simeon Rice creamsicle jersey. I think that those Bucks jerseys are awesome. Very, very fun player, very consistent player for those Bucks defenses. And again, we talk about those Bucks defenses where it would have been him, Warren Sapp. I always forget which linebacker it is because it's no. Oh, this is bad podcasting. What's their like all-time great linebacker's name? How am I not? And I don't want to look it up because that bugs me. And I keep thinking of like the Chiefs linebacker, who I also can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. And he's in the Hall of Very Good. I guess I just have to look it up. Best Bucks linebackers. Derek Brooks. Yeah. Because there's a Derek Thomas also, and he was with the Chiefs. And who was the guy that I was thinking who was also on the Chiefs, but later on? Is there another Derek Thomas? Regardless, does not matter. That's Simeon Rice. Those are the Edge nominees. And drum roll, please. And your 2 members getting inducted into the Hall of Very Good. Fittingly, Justin Tuck and UC Umanura, congrats on getting into the Hall of Very Good. Joining former teammate JPP as well. Obviously, both men. Terrific careers. 2-time Super Bowl champs. Stopped Brady twice, which is also just, I should have mentioned that, but goes without saying, I guess. So, congrats to those 2. On to the bigger boys, on to the interior defensive linemen, and we will start off with a first-time nominee. It is Darnell Dockett. 2004 third-round pick by the Cardinals. Spent his entire career there. 1-time second-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, 11-year career. I remember Darnell Dockett, like when I first started really like getting into football and watching football, he just always seemed to have something to say. Like it wasn't like some outlandish character or whatever, but I remember him just being funny and being a good football player. And I don't know if I'm misremembering or whatever, but like those are my memories of Darnell Dockett as a football player. And something funny that I did find out, his nickname is Fartbox. You heard that right. His nickname is Fartbox. If you're wondering why, I guess in the Cardinals locker room, his teammates would always blame him for letting one rip. So they just started calling him Fartbox, and that became his nickname. He's obviously like accepted it, like not come to terms with it, but like he plays into it a little bit too. And I guess that's probably getting into the like, why he's a little bit of a character. But that's Darnell Dockett. Next guy up, another first-time nominee. It is Trevor Pryce, the 28th overall pick by the Broncos in 1997. And yeah, 2-time Super Bowl champion with those Broncos. Came in at the right time when they won their back-to-back Super Bowls. So 2-time Super Bowl champ, 1-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler. And he finished with 91 sacks in his career, which for an interior defensive lineman, that's incredible. And again, Trevor Pryce is someone who I don't really know. I'm not familiar with his game, so to speak. And yeah, I had to do a little bit of digging to find out. So he went from the Broncos to the Ravens, and he finished. I don't know if he finished with the Ravens, I forget, but he played like the next half of his career with the Ravens, and obviously was a part of some very good Ravens defenses as well. But a great interior rusher. Again, 91 sacks from the interior is absolutely incredible. And next we'll talk about a guy who definitely did not have 91 sacks in his career. I think he finished with 12 or something like that. It is Casey Hampton, a two-time nominee, the 19th overall pick in 2001 by the Steelers. Two-time Super Bowl champ, five-time Pro Bowler. Just your classic plug-and-play nose tackle. Doesn't get all the accolades or the stats or the box or the counting stats, but he just makes an impact every time he's on the field. Great run defender. I think he came in at like 6'1", 325. Big boy. Very hard to move, obviously. But again, I think there's several Steelers players from those teams and those defenses that are in the Hall of Very Good or have nominated yet. Casey Hampton is just kind of the next guy in line with a few others at this point. Next guy up here, Jamal Williams, another two-time nominee, was a second-round pick in the 1998 supplemental draft by the Chargers. Now, if you forget what the supplemental draft is, it is the draft after the draft, where for some reason these guys weren't eligible or didn't declare, or I actually don't know what goes in to being eligible for a supplemental draft. We haven't had one for a few years in the NFL, I believe anyways, but yeah. But essentially, so the Chargers spent a second-round pick on him in the supplemental draft. So next year, so that 99 draft, they didn't have a second-round pick because they used it on Jamal Williams. And he was absolutely great. 13-year career, two-time first-team All-Pro, one-time second-team All-Pro, three-time Pro Bowler. Again, one of these big nose tackles where the counting stats really weren't there. But the one stat that does show up on the box score, in his rookie season, he had a pick six. Yes, at 6'3", 350, he had a pick six. I love that. I went back, I watched the video. It's a lot of fun. He did it against John Kitna and the Seahawks. Again, I love it. He would have also been a part of like some good, very good, I can't say very good because they underwhelm, so I'm just going to say underwhelming Chargers teams with so much talent. With Phillip Rivers and LaDainian Tomlinson and Vincent Jackson and Junior Seau and go on and on and on and on. Like, those Chargers teams were good. Didn't amount to anything, unfortunately. But, yeah, Jamal Williams, one of those big boys. Plug the hole. Great run stopper. And again, a pick six at 6'3", 350. Absolutely love it. Next guy up here is Chris Jenkins, another two-time nominee. Was a second-round pick in 2001 by the Carolina Panthers. Two-time first-team All-Pro, one-time second-team All-Pro, four-time Pro Bowler. Didn't play his... Nope, not that Chris Jenkins. Apparently there's a bunch of... Not that Chris Jenkins either. I want his dad. Because, yeah, obviously... You might have heard the name Chris Jenkins before. He was a second-round pick by the Bengals just a couple years ago. So, yeah, this is his dad. Obviously, the Chris Jenkins who got drafted in 2024. A freak. And so was his dad. So his dad played for the Panthers and the Jets. 10-year career, that's what I was looking for. And he was just a big motherfucker. 6'5", 360. You don't see many guys built like that at all, just in general. But just in the NFL, I'm looking up how big Vita Vea is. Because, like, that's who I'm... Yeah, so even Vita Vea is 6'4", 350. Which, like, again, comparable. You add another inch to Vita Vea, maybe he has another 10 pounds. I have no idea. But, like, Chris Jenkins was a big dude, was a big part of that 2004 Panthers team that made it to the Super Bowl. He had 7 sacks that year. And again, 7 sacks when you're 6'5", 360... That doesn't happen very often. Very good player. Huge shit talker. There's videos of him on the Jets, like, turning back to the crowd and just roasting them. Very funny guy. Obviously, clearly very athletic. I mean, when you're an NFL player, you're that big, and then your son is a freak athlete who also makes it to the NFL. Got some good genes in the Jenkins family, anyways. Two more guys here. We have Michael Bennett, another two-time nominee, a 2009 UDFA, which, again, shocking to me. I am wearing my Seahawks Super Bowl. I can do the math here with these. So that's Super Bowl 48. Super Bowl 48. Where was I going with that? This is the reason I'm wearing my Super Bowl 48 shirt. It's got Michael Bennett's name on the back, along with all of those other Legion of Boom guys and the guys on offense and yada, yada, yada. But, yeah, Michael Bennett started off as a UDFA. He got signed by the Bucs, spent 4 years there after his, rookie deal was done, went over to this. Actually, the Seahawks signed him first, which is funny. Then they cut him. The Bucs signed him. He spent 4 years there. Then the Seahawks bring him in. Spent 5 years with the Seahawks. Obviously, winning that Super Bowl. Was a 3-time Pro Bowler in that time as well. And then 1 year with the Eagles. And then a split year with the Patriots and the Cowboys to round off his career. Played 11 seasons. But yeah, Super Bowl champion, 3-time Pro Bowler. And more sacks than Justin Tuck in his career. I know, again, Justin Tuck just made the Hall of Very Good, and I know that I shouldn't be shitting on a guy who just got inducted or whatever, but Michael Bennett, again, going from UDFA to getting, and again, from the interior, and yes, Michael Bennett did line up at edge, he did line up on the interior. I think he was primarily an interior defender. He definitely wasn't primarily an edge defender, but you could argue with me all you want. Michael Bennett, very good player, very scary, doesn't get enough credit I think he deserves for those Seahawks defenses, because obviously the Legion of Boom gets all the credit, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, and then Bobby Wagner, of course, gets the big credit for that front seven, but a guy like Michael Bennett, really an unsung hero of that defense, but if you know that Michael Bennett was that dude. And then last guy up here, it is Jarrell Casey, another two-time nominee. Was a third-round pick in 2011 by the Tennessee Titans. One-time second-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, 10-year career. I always find it funny with the NFL and how it works. So that second-team All-Pro happened in 2013. Not one of his Pro Bowl seasons, because that's just the way it works. But no, he was a 5-time Pro Bowler and 5 straight Pro Bowls. And then all of a sudden, he gets hurt a little bit and then just cast off, kicked to the curb, goes to Denver, plays a few games there, I think gets hurt again, and then that was it. He went from 5 straight Pro Bowls to out of the league just like that. It is crazy of how fast your time and your moment in the league could come to an end. Jarrell Casey, when he got there in 2011, those Titans teams absolutely stunk. That was the Jake Locker era of the Titans, and I still weirdly believe that Jake Locker in his last season, I'm wasn't ever going to be a great QB, but I'm you can be a decent starter, and then he retired because he was just done, and then having them try to find their next QB, it was Marcus Mariota, and then that didn't really work out, and then they eventually got Tannehill, but Jarrell Casey was their best defender for quite a while anyways. Could rack up, again, wasn't a huge sack getter, but could rack up the sacks when he needed to. But those are the defensive tackle nominees. And the two men getting inducted are Darnell Dockett and Michael Bennett. Congrats to the both of them. Congrats to Justin Tuck and UC Yomanura. Again, this is basically, a lot of the people voting for this are around my age, where these are the people that they grew up watching, and not some of these other guys who I definitely think are more deserving at this point, but those are the 4 guys getting in. Next week, what do we have on? Next week we're doing offensive linemen, and we're doing tight ends, talking about more big boys, and talking about, I don't even know who's going to get in for tight ends, but yeah, and I said that I was going to end this episode with just a little bit of a rant here. Probably get it up to 50 minutes. Actually, I hope that rant's not this long. But the NBA Finals are happening right now, and you probably saw it over the weekend, but Stephen A. Smith, one of the highest paid sports media personalities in the world, playing solitaire during the NBA Finals game, which he's supposed to be covering. Stephen A. tried to clap back to be like, oh, I can't multitask, especially during a timeout, haha. And then there was videos of him playing solitaire while the game was going on. And there was a wide range of reaction from people being like, who cares about this? Which, that's not the right reaction. And then people on the other end being like, he should lose his job. He should get fired. Which is also an insane thing to say. Where I am is, I guess I'm in the middle, where I am so done. Again, I've been talking about this a lot, and if you've listened to the podcast before, you've probably heard me rant about some sports media personality, but the fact that, like, ESPN is, like, actively laying off hardworking members and writers who have been there for a while, so Stephen A. and, like, Pat McAfee can, like, get their paydays. And great, they're the cash cows, but they do it in all the wrong ways, and that's part of the reason why sports media bugs me, is because it's all about clicks and interactions. It's not about the actual substance that's being shown, it's about, oh, if Stephen A. can rage bait you enough, you're going to tune in. And that's not how sports TV should be run. It really does kill me that, again, a guy making an obscene amount of money to talk about sports can't even spend the time while he is at that sporting event to watch it. I don't know. It kills me. Like, again, there's so much better ways that this money could get used just in general, and I'm not gonna, like, Stephen A. is good at yelling into a camera, and again, that takes a certain skill, but should that be one of the leading sports media personalities in the world? No, it shouldn't. Like, I don't remember the last time where I've ever watched any Stephen A. clip and being like, wow, that was a good, well thought out, thoughtful take, Stephen A. Congrats. Most of the time, it's, he's an idiot. What is he doing? And again, that's the point, because the more people who be like, you're an idiot, want to tell him he's an idiot, and the money is the same. It doesn't matter if it's a hate watch versus someone who's actually entertained by it. ESPN gets paid the same way, and again, that's part of what's wrong with a lot of the way that media is consumed and how it generates revenue, but Stephen A. Smith really pisses me off. Like, I mean, he's right up there with, and I know I lumped in Pat McAfee, and Pat McAfee pisses me off, but for different reasons. Because, like, Pat McAfee's Pat McAfee. Like, he just goes on and he just talks. He doesn't claim to be some genius ball knower, like, whatever. Like, Stephen A. thinks that he is God's gift to basketball. He does think he's bigger than basketball. I mean, just a few days before the solitaire thing, Tyrese Halliburton called out, like, how negative the media is for literally no reason. Didn't specifically name Stephen A., but Stephen A. took that to heart and called and literally said that he's bigger than Tyrese Halliburton and will be bigger and better than anything that he will ever, like, do. And it's just like, first of all, he didn't even call you out. You just took that personally because, one, you should take that personally because you do fucking stink. And then the solitaire thing happens where fucking anyone till the end of time can just be like, you were playing solitaire during the NBA Finals. Enough. And he was on a halftime panel of that same game. Whatever. That's the rant. That's the episode. I gotta feed Lucy because she looks sad just lying on the floor over there. Yeah. I gotta eat. I gotta go to softball later. But yeah, that's the episode. Offensive linemen, tight ends next week. Gonna be a good one. And as always, if you have liked this, please like, share, retweet, subscribe, tell your friends, and until next time, peace.